In the heart of a small African village called Erawan lived an old woman named Mama Efun. She was thin, wrinkled, and always wore a long black wrapper. Her back was bent like a question mark, and her eyes were small and sharp, like she could see what you were thinking. But Mama Efun was loved by many. Not because of her smile. No, she rarely smiled. Not because of her kindness. She didn't talk much either. She was loved because of her Akara. Her Akara was like no other. Golden brown on the outside, soft on the inside, with a smell that could pull you from across the village. People came from nearby towns just to buy it. Some called it magic Akara. Some said it was the work of the gods. Even the chief's wife once said, "This Akara tastes like it came from heaven." Mama Efun sold her Akara every morning under the big mango tree near the market square. She never sold late, never ran out of oil, never looked tired. Her stall was always clean. And somehow, no matter how many people came, everyone got a piece. But behind that delicious taste, something was wrong. Very wrong. At first, nobody noticed. One or two people missing. A farmer here, a traveler there. The village elders said it was normal. People move, people run away. But soon it became hard to ignore. A young girl named Ronki went missing. She had just returned from Mama Efun's stall with hot Akara in her hand. Her slippers were found near the bush path, but she was never seen again. A few days later, a man named Dauda disappeared. His brother said he went to buy Akara that morning. That was the last time anyone saw him. People started whispering, "It's kidnappers." "No, it's the forest spirits. Maybe it's Mama Efun. She's always alone, too quiet, too strange." But they said it softly. No one wanted to speak too loudly against her. Why? Because the next morning, they'd still line up for her Akara, as if the taste had a spell on their minds. In a small mud house near the edge of the village lived a boy named Timi. He was 12 years old, skinny, and always curious. His mother called him eyes that see too much. Timi's older brother, Sei, was among those who had disappeared. He had gone to the market to buy Akara. That evening, he never returned. Timi noticed something strange. After Sei vanished, Mama Efun's Akara tasted even sweeter than before. People were saying, "She's added something new." But the sweetness made Timi sick to his stomach. That night, Timi couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling and whispered, "Why does her Akara get better every time someone disappears?" Timi decided to watch Mama Efun. At dawn, before the sun rose, he hid behind a tree close to her house. Her hut was small, built with old wood and dried palm leaves. There was a small shrine at the back, a red cloth tied to a stick. Then he saw it. Mama Efun stepped out, wearing a black robe. She didn't walk like an old woman. She moved fast, smooth, strong. Her back was straight. She carried something in a bowl. Timi couldn't see what was inside, but he heard her humming a strange song. Her voice was deep, too deep for a woman. She walked into the bush path and disappeared. Timi shivered. He felt cold, though it was not a cold night. The next day, Timi went to her stall. He didn't want to buy Akara, but he needed to see. The fire burned in the iron frying pan. The oil sizzled as she dropped in the paste, but the oil, it was dark, too dark, and thick. He looked closer. There were red streaks floating in the oil. Was it pepper? Or he wanted to run, but Mama Efun turned and looked straight at him. Her eyes were not brown, not black. They were red, just for a second. Then they changed back. "Do you want Akara?" she asked. Her voice felt like a knife sliding across glass. Timi shook his head and walked away. But as he left, he heard her whisper to herself, "More will come, more sweetness." That day, the Akara sold out before noon. Children danced as they ate. Mothers licked their fingers. Even the chief sent his guard to buy a bag full. Nobody questioned the taste. Nobody wondered why it was sweeter. Only Timi watched them, confused, afraid, and angry. That night, he asked his mother, "Why does everyone trust her so much?" His mother replied, "Because she has never done anything wrong." "But what if she hides something?" His mother grew silent. "Some things, Gore," she said slowly, "are better not said out loud." Later that night, Timi stood by his window and looked out. Smoke rose from Mama Efun's chimney, but it wasn't normal smoke. It was black and thick, like burnt flesh. And then he heard it, a scream, soft, like it came from far away. Then silence. He pressed his face to the window. A shadow moved past the trees. Something big. Something not human. Timi's heart beat fast. He whispered to himself, "What is she cooking in there?" The next morning, the village was peaceful. Birds sang, goats wandered the paths, smoke curled from cooking fires, people laughed, talked, and prepared for the market day. But Timi's heart was not at peace. He couldn't forget what he saw the night before. The black smoke, the shadow in the trees, Mama Efun's red eyes. He tried to tell his mother again, but she only hushed him. Timi, stop talking nonsense. Mama Efun is just an old woman. Don't say such things or people will think you're cursed. But he knew what he saw. And now, he had to know more. That night, when the village was quiet, Timi crept out of the house. He wore his old sandals and carried a small torch wrapped in cloth. The moon was half full, and the air smelled like dust and charcoal. He followed the same bush path he saw Mama Efun take 2 nights ago. The path was narrow and hidden. Twigs snapped under his feet. Strange insects hummed. The trees stood tall like watchers. The deeper he walked, the colder it became. Then, he heard singing, a low, slow voice, not in any language he knew, the kind of voice that made your bones feel cold. He crouched in the bushes and peeked through the leaves. Mama Efun stood in the middle of a small clearing. She wasn't bent like before. She stood tall, her black wrapper now replaced with a red cloth. Around her were 6 wooden masks on sticks. All of them had sharp teeth and hollow eyes. In her hands she held a calabash full of thick red liquid. Blood. She raised it to the sky and spoke. O spirits of the dark fire, accept my offering. Let your sweetness stay in my Akara. Let the people hunger for it. Let them never suspect. Then she poured the blood into a black pot over fire. The flames turned blue. The ground shook slightly. Timi covered his mouth to keep from screaming. Behind Mama Efun, something moved. A tall, thin creature with long arms and no face. It stood still like a shadow peeled off the night. Mama Efun did not look back. She spoke again. 1 more soul by morning and you will feed. I have prepared the oil. Timi's stomach turned. His mouth was dry. His legs were shaking. He had to get out. But just as he turned, his foot snapped a dry stick. Crack. Mama Efun's head snapped around. Who is there? She shouted. The fire flared. The masks turned to face him, as if alive. Timi ran. Branches scratched his skin. Thorns tore his wrapper. The trees seemed to close in around him. He didn't look back. He couldn't. He felt something chasing him. A cold wind, heavy footsteps, breathing that wasn't human. He burst out of the forest and rolled into a yam farm. He lay still for a moment, gasping. He was alive. But now, he knew the truth. The next morning, Timi ran to the village square. He shouted, Mama Efun is a witch. She uses blood in her Akara. I saw her in the forest. People turned to look. Some laughed. Others frowned. Blood? What are you saying, boy? You should be careful what you say. Mama Efun has fed us for years. Even the village chief looked annoyed. Timi, if you don't stop these lies, we will punish you. Timi's heart dropped. They didn't believe him. They wouldn't even ask questions. The Akara had blinded them all. That day, Mama Efun sold even more Akara. She looked calm, but when her eyes met Timi's, she smiled just a little. That smile froze his blood. Timi didn't know what to do. He sat alone by the river, skipping stones and crying. That's when he heard a voice behind him. You saw her, didn't you? Timi turned. An old man stood there holding a long hunting spear. His name was Baba Goki, a quiet man. No one spoke to him much. Timi nodded slowly. Yes, in the forest. She poured blood in the fire. Something was with her. Baba Goki sat beside him. You're not the first to see it. Years ago when I was a boy, the Akara started. People vanished. My brother, my friend. I tried to tell them too. Timi looked up. So it's true? Yes, Baba Goki said. She made a deal. The spirits gave her taste that no man could resist. But in return, she must feed them. With blood. Timi wiped his face. She said she needs 1 more soul by morning. Baba Goki's eyes narrowed. Then we don't have much time. He stood and walked into the trees. Come, I have something to show you. In his hut, Baba Goki brought out a small leather bag. Inside were charms, powder, and a bottle filled with something dark green. These are not just stories, Timi. These are weapons. He handed Timi a small pouch. Keep this close. It will hide your spirit from hers. Timi took it, heart pounding. What do we do now? Baba Goki smiled, but it was not a happy smile. Tonight we hunt the witch. The night air was heavy. Dark clouds covered the moon, and the village lay in silence. But in Baba Goki's hut, 2 hearts beat fast. Timi clutched the charm tightly to his chest, while Baba Gok packed his spear, the green bottle, and a pouch of black powder. We must go now, Baba Goke whispered. before she takes her final soul. Timmy nodded, though his body shook. He had never faced true evil before, but tonight there was no turning back. They slipped into the forest like shadows, guided by memory and fear. The trees were even darker now, as if they had swallowed the stars. Each step crackled underfoot. Every whisper of wind made Timmy jump. But Baba Goke moved like a panther, calm, sharp, silent. They followed the path to the clearing, where Timmy had seen the ritual. But this time the masks were gone. The fire was out, the ground cold. "She's moved," Baba Goke said. "She knows we're coming." Suddenly, a scream pierced the night. A child's voice, high, frightened and distant. Timmy's heart nearly stopped. He ran toward it. "Wait," Baba Goke shouted, but Timmy didn't listen. He sprinted deeper into the forest. He burst into another clearing. There, tied to a tree, was a girl no older than him. Her dress was torn, and her face wet with tears. "Help me," she cried. Timmy rushed to untie her, just as Baba Goke appeared, panting, eyes wide. "No, it's not real." But it was too late. The girl vanished into black smoke. The trees twisted, the ground trembled, and Mama Efun stepped out of the shadows, smiling. "You should have stayed home, little boy." Her eyes glowed red again, but this time brighter. Her skin shimmered, showing strange marks beneath, symbols moving like snakes. Baba Goke threw powder into the air. It sparked, burning white. Mama Efun hissed and stepped back. "Go!" Baba Goke shouted. "Run!" But they were surrounded. From the trees came shadows. Not animals, not people. Twisted figures with long limbs, empty eyes, crawling like smoke. Baba Goke raised his spear and threw it. One of the shadows exploded in green fire. Timmy pulled out his charm, clutching it like his life depended on it. It did. The shadows hissed and paused. Mama Efun raised her arms. "You dare bring weapons against the chosen of the spirits? You will become the Akara now." She screamed a word that shook the air. Suddenly, from the fire pit behind her, figures began to rise, half-formed like people made from smoke and blood. Their faces were frozen in silent screams. Timmy fell to his knees. They're the missing people." Baba Goke's voice was rough. "Yes, trapped, bound by her magic. Her blood cakes are cursed with their souls." Mama Efun laughed. "And now you will join them." But Baba Goke was ready. He pulled the green bottle and poured the liquid into a circle around them. It burned blue as it touched the earth, keeping the spirits back. Then he whispered a chant. The fire grew taller. Mama Efun screamed, shielding her face. Her skin began to crack. "No, you cannot defeat me. I am the sweet mother of Akara. They love me." Timmy stood up, eyes burning with tears. "They only love your lies." And with all his strength, he threw the charm straight at Mama Efun. It hit her chest. There was a sound like thunder. The spirits shrieked. Mama Efun's body twisted, burned, and finally exploded into black dust that flew into the trees. Everything went quiet. The fire died. The spirits faded. Only ashes remained. By dawn, Baba Goke and Timmy returned to the village. The market was opening, but something had changed. People looked confused, dazed, like waking from a dream. Mama Efun's stall was gone. Nothing remained but a black stain on the ground. Whispers spread fast. She left? No one saw her leave. What happened? The village chief called a meeting. Baba Goke told the story, truthfully, fully. Some people wept. Some sat in silence. Timmy just watched. He saw fear on their faces, but also guilt. For years they had eaten her food even as people disappeared. And now, they knew the price. That night, Timmy couldn't sleep. He kept thinking of the girl who turned to smoke. The shadow creatures, the blood in the fire. He stared at the stars and whispered, "Is it really over?" But something inside him said no. And when he turned to sleep, he noticed something on his windowsill. A single hot, freshly fried Akara, still steaming. The next morning, the sun rose peacefully over the village. Birds chirped, children played, women pounded yam in wooden mortars. It seemed like nothing had ever gone wrong. But for Timmy, peace was a lie. He couldn't stop staring at the Akara that had appeared on his windowsill. It was still warm, as if freshly fried. No one had come to his house. No one had used his fire. His fingers trembled as he picked it up. It smelled sweet, spicy, just like Mama Efun's, exactly like hers. He dropped it instantly, his heart racing. Timmy rushed to Baba Goke's hut. The old hunter was sharpening his blade, eyes tired but focused. "It's not over," Timmy gasped. "She left. Akara on my window." Baba Goke stood slowly. "Are you sure?" Timmy nodded. "It smelled like hers." "Exactly." Baba Goke looked at the sky. Clouds were forming again. Then the curse isn't broken, not fully. But how? Timi asked. We saw her burn. She may have died, Baba Goki said, but something she called might still be here. That night, the two of them returned to the forest, this time not to fight, but to bury the ashes from the ritual site. Baba Goki scattered black powder, whispering chants. But as they turned to leave, they heard it again. A whisper, soft, cold, right behind them. I'm not done. The next day, 2 children from the next village were reported missing. Their mothers said they had gone to buy Akara from a woman with a sweet voice. But when they searched, there was no woman, no stall, just crumbs on the ground and a strange oily stain. Word spread quickly. In the days that followed, more people vanished, each one last seen talking to an old woman in a black wrapper. Some said they saw her smile and disappear into smoke. Others found Akara left on doorsteps. No one dared eat it. Fear returned. The village leaders held a meeting. Baba Goki spoke of spirits and unfinished rituals. He warned them not to trust what they saw and never to eat food they didn't cook themselves. But still, people disappeared. And every time, the same sign was left behind. Hot, delicious Akara. One night, the earth trembled. People screamed and ran out of their huts. The ground split open near the old market square. From the crack came a foul smell, like blood, fire, and something ancient. A soft cry echoed up. Timi arrived at the scene with Baba Goke. They stared into the hole. It was deep, very deep. At the bottom, something was moving. Not Mama Efun. Something bigger. It's coming, Baba Goke whispered. She wasn't the master, she was the servant. Determined to find answers, Timi and Baba Goke visited the oldest woman in the region, Iya Abeni, who lived in a cave by the river. She was over 100 years old and blind, but she could see things others couldn't. When they arrived, she was already waiting. I've been expecting you, she said, though no one had told her. They sat before her as she touched their hands and chanted softly. She called it, the eater of blood, a spirit that lives below the soil, fed by pain and lies. Mama Efun was its voice. But now, it wants more. Can it be stopped? Timi asked. The old woman shook her head slowly, not by strength, only by truth. She gave Timi a small bag. Inside were dried leaves, ashes, and a tiny carved wooden mask. When the time comes, she said, you must wear it and speak the true name. What's the name? She smiled, toothless. You'll know when it's almost too late. That night, Baba Goke disappeared. His hut was empty, his tools gone. Only one thing remained. A single Akara on the floor, sitting in a pool of dark blood. Timi fell to his knees. He wanted to scream, to cry. But no sound came out. He was alone now, the only one left to fight. As he walked back through the village, the wind blew fiercely, and in that wind he heard it again. A woman's voice. You liked my Akara, didn't you? He turned, no one. Then again. Delicious, wasn't it? He turned again, and this time he saw something. A shadow, not standing, floating, with a smile too wide and eyes that were nothing but pits of fire. And then it vanished. Timi could feel the weight of the village on his shoulders. The eerie quiet, the whispered fears, the lingering dread of something more sinister than a simple witch's curse. The Akara was everywhere now. Each morning it appeared on doorsteps, at windowsills in the marketplace. Always hot, always sweet. But now it no longer smelled good. It reeked of death. He had to find a way to stop this. The small carved mask from Iya Abeni burned a hole in his pocket. He hadn't wanted to wear it, but he knew he had no choice. The time had come. That night, the moon hung low, and the air was thick. Timi stood at the edge of the village, staring at the forest where everything had begun. Baba Goke had disappeared, and now it was just him. The winds picked up, howling like the voices of the lost. Timi could hear them calling his name. Come, the voices whispered, soft and sweet, like the scent of Akara. Come and be free. He could almost see Mama Efun's face in the shadows, her smile widening, beckoning him closer. But this time, he wasn't afraid. He was angry. He pulled the mask from his pocket. It was small, carved with symbols he didn't understand. The eyes on the mask were empty, as if waiting to see something, waiting to know. With a deep breath, Timi put it on. Instantly, the world around him shifted. The wind grew colder. The ground trembled beneath his feet. The shadows around him deepened, and in the darkness, he could hear the whispers growing louder. Timi clenched his fists. He was ready. He walked deeper into the forest, feeling as though the very trees were watching him. The shadows moved around him, crawling up his legs, whispering in his ears. Leave. Leave now. "Don't fight her." But Timmy ignored them. He could feel something stirring beneath the earth, something older than anything he had ever known. And then, he saw her. Mama Efun stood before him, her form flickering in and out of existence like a shadow cast by a candle in the wind. Her eyes glowed red, and her smile stretched too wide, too far, like it would swallow the whole world. "You came," she said, her voice honey-sweet and deadly. "You always come." Timmy stepped forward. No more will you feed off the souls of the innocent. You will not take anyone else." Mama Efun laughed. The sound echoed in the trees, hollow and cruel. "You think you can stop me? You think you can undo what has been done?" Timmy's heart raced, but his voice was steady. "I have to try." He lifted his hand, holding the mask high, and spoke the name that Iya Abeni had whispered to him. Olorun Bajeki. At the moment the name left his lips, the ground shook violently. The trees groaned. And then, silence. A dark figure rose from the earth, something more terrible than Mama Efun had ever been. It was Olorun Bajeki, the ancient spirit, a god of hunger, of blood, and of suffering. The true master of the curse. It towered over them, its form like a twisted tree of shadows, limbs stretching and twisting into an impossible shape. Its eyes were like pits, filled with endless emptiness, and its mouth was a cavern of darkness, wide enough to swallow the stars. Mama Efun cowered before it. "No, no," she cried. "I served you. I fed you." But the creature did not listen. It was not interested in her anymore. It turned its terrible eyes toward Timmy, narrowing. You are the one who called me," it said, its voice low and rumbling like thunder. "You who dared to speak my name. Do you not know what you have done?" Timmy swallowed hard, but he stood firm. "I called you to stop her. You fed on this village long enough." The creature stepped forward, its form looming like a storm. "You are foolish, boy. I am not bound by what you think you know. I take what I please. I have been waiting for you." Timmy's hands shook, but he held his ground. He reached into his pocket, pulling out the small bottle Baba Goke had given him, the green liquid that could bind spirits. But as his fingers touched the bottle, he heard the whisper again. "Take it. Feed me. You know you want to." The whisper came from the shadows, Mama Efun's voice. Timmy turned to her. Her eyes glinted with a wicked hope. "Feed him. Give him your blood. Give him your soul, and you will be free." Timmy looked at the mask that had led him here. He looked back at the towering shadow of Olorun Bajeki, then to the crumpled figure of Mama Efun. For a moment, he considered it. He considered giving in, feeding the spirit in exchange for his own safety. But then he remembered everything. The missing children, Baba Goki's sacrifice, the village that had been cursed for far too long. No. Timmy raised the bottle high, and without a second thought, he poured the green liquid over the ground, chanting words he didn't understand, calling on powers older than any spirit or witch. The earth cracked open. Olorun Bajeki roared, its body twisting in agony as it was sucked back into the ground, its form disintegrating like dust. Mama Efun screamed as she was consumed by the darkness, her body vanishing into the void. The forest fell silent. Timmy stood alone in the clearing, his body shaking but unbroken. Timmy returned to the village the next morning. The wind had stopped, the sky was clear. Birds sang again. But when he reached his home, something felt wrong. On his doorstep there was one last Akara, still steaming. Timmy's heart skipped a beat. Was it really over? Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe for more terrifying stories. Was the curse truly broken? What happens now that Timmy is the only one left to protect the village? Do you think the Akara will ever stop appearing, or is it just the beginning of something darker? Let me know in the comment section and which country you are watching from.